Hi everyone, it's Sue. Welcome to my mess. I have started putting together the Project Butterfly journal. Well, it's actually become journals. I've got quite a few entries that I received from some beautiful ladies. Thank you so much for all your effort that everybody has put in. I was totally overwhelmed and didn't expect to get as many as I did. So I've decided that there's way too much for one journal. So I'm making two signature journals. And as well as that, Marion sent me these beautiful big pockets. So I will be also filling this with probably some ephemera that I make. I'll just see what I've got left over when I've got the journals together. But these will be filled with ephemera, whether they're from the ladies that have put entries in, or they will be bits and pieces that I've made. So there'll be 4 prizes in total. Okay, so let me just have a think. So I've ummed and ahed about fabric. I had quite a few different fabrics that I could have used. Some were a little bit too garish for what I wanted, only because there's so many different styles of creations that are going to go into these. So I wanted to try and keep it relatively plain in the sense of color. So I've gone with this Tim Holtz butterfly fabric. So it's just featuring like red, and this one, which I don't know, it didn't have the selvage on the piece. It's not Tim Holtz, so I'm not sure who this one is. Anyway, so I've started putting the covers together, and I thought I would show you how I do that. So on the inside of this one, there will be this nice, so this is navy blue, it's not black, so it's a bluey grey. So I put this navy blue fabric on the inside, and it features butterflies and botanicals and everything like that. So I thought I really liked how that looked. And then on it, I'm going to put this closure. So this is actually a Tim Holtz fabric here as well. And I just thought that that went really well. So very, very eclectic, very different, but that's what I'm thinking. Okay, so it's going to have 2 signatures. Both journals will have 2 signatures. And I've just cut this one out and prepped it all. And I thought I will show you how I go about it on this one. Okay, I will try and show you as many videos as I can of me putting these journals together. Just remember that I've only got until the 15th. My deadline was to finish it by the 15th, I think, and yes, finish by the 15th, do a flip through on the 15th or the 16th, and then do the drawing on the 17th. So I hope you all understand that if I don't get the whole process on video, I just really need to sort of focus on getting, now, especially now that I've decided I'm doing 2 journals. I know I make work for myself, but I wanted to share the love, and just there just was too much to put in. I just don't think you could appreciate the work that everyone has put into what they've made if it was all crammed into one journal. So I hope that that's okay with everyone. So it gives everyone more chance of winning. All right, so what I normally do with this type of journal, sorry, my chair's a bit creaky. I love making this type of journal cover. So this is one that I'm working on for someone at the moment. And I love using these. Oh, they're like they go on the bottom of suspenders. So you can see how this works. So you just open that up, and then I've got this folded over, but it can grow as the journal grows. This can actually, the clip can go onto that straight, and then you've got so much more room. You can see, hopefully, so much more room for your journal to grow. I don't know what it is. Isn't it funny when you start making something and you just think, oh, I love making these. So they're a little bit more detailed, but I love the result, and they all look so different, even though the structure is pretty much the same. So what I've done is I've got several templates. It took me ages to work these covers out, but then once I did, I've just made some templates out of file folder. I'll probably, I think, end up putting these onto template plastic just so that I've got them all the time, because some of these are, I've got another couple of designs, and they're getting a little bit worn, so eventually I'll put them onto template plastic so that they stand the test of time. So I'm doing two different flaps for the covers. So this one that goes to a pointed end, and this one which is scalloped. So I did the pointed end obviously on this one, you can see there, and then I'm going to do the scallop on this Tim Holtz fabric. So what I've done is I like to put, sorry about that, Katie's home, she's laughing at a movie or something she's watching. So what I like to do is I like to sandwich A3, what do you call this, watercolor paper in between. So it's quite, I mean, it's quite firm, but you still get that floppiness of being a fabric cover, but it's not sort of flopping around everywhere, so it gives it a little bit of stability. So I use a spray adhesive, and I spray one side of the fabric and one side of the paper, watercolor paper, and I put them on and I smooth it all out so that there's no lumps or bumps in it, and then I tip it over and I spray this, because you can hear it, it's really sticky, spray the other side of the watercolor paper and then spray the back of the fabric and then sandwich them together. So that's just to sort of keep it all together so there's no bubbles, and then it keeps it together when I need to sew the cover together. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just cut off this excess here. Basically, I've worked this out, so for me to be able to have an A4 sheet of paper folded in half, I have made my cover, my template is 9 inches high, and if I want one signature, I just have to trace around this exact size. If I want a 2 signature journal, I need to add another about a half an inch, which brings it to the full length of an A3 sheet. Hoping I'm making sense. Okay, so it just means that if I can just use an A4 sheet, there's no trimming on the height and there's no trimming on the width. Just makes life so much easier. Okay, so as I said, I'm just going to trim off this excess here just so that I can see what I'm doing. So I've just made it just for myself, just a little bit easier, just made the fabric a little bit longer than the A3 sheet rather than try and get it exactly precise and then falling short. I'd rather have more and be able to cut it off than to have less. So just bear with me. The only thing is it is hard to see, so I just need to hold it up to the light. I'm actually going to cut it a couple of times because I don't want to cut away too much of the length of it. So that's going to be pretty much the width of my, yes, the width of my journal when it's laid flat. Okay, so this time, so when I do these, I always trace from the front, especially if I've got a fabric that the pattern is, you know, directional, or it has like a line through it or something, because nothing worse than cutting a journal cover out and then having the pattern, you know, going crooked. So what I like to try and do, and this is a little bit printed, as you can see, it plays with the eye a bit because the butterflies are all placed all over the shop. So what I like to do is just try and eyeball it, and you just have to bear with me for a second while I just sort of lay all this down. So I'm going to put the scalloped edge of the template, hopefully I'm in screen, the scalloped edge of the template on the left hand edge of the good side of the cover. And I'm just having a little bit of a play around with placement so that I get it relatively straight. Okay, now my biggest thing here as well is I want this to be, this line here to be straight with this line. And that's not too bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to trace around the outside. Now I use a darker pen just so that I can see it. Just trying to find my black pen that I had. Here it is. Because I cut that off, you can't see the black pen once it's all trimmed down. And I basically just trace all around it. Now, because I'm doing 2 signatures, I'm stopping here because I'm just going to follow that through when I cut it. And so then you can see I've got my black lines there. Okay. And you can see if I put this on top of here, because I've cut it out already there's that extra ½ inch on there. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly cut this out. So that's basically the journal cover, and this will go, it'll look like that once it's all put together. And I really struggled to find, because this color here didn't, I mean it goes, but it just didn't do anything for the cover. So I've gone a little bit different, and this is another Tim Holtz fabric. So I thought we'll keep it all Tim Holtz, and so I've just put this one, so it's got that little bit of pinky red throughout it. So that will be the closure that goes on that. A cover, and it measures approximately, let me just have a look, about 16 3/4 in length from the longest point to here. So 16 3/4. Okay, so I need about at least an inch for extra longer for the strap, if that makes sense. Because I've got such a mess here, guys. I'm sorry, I was just trying to find. So this is the one that's going on the other one. So I need enough, I need the extra space to turn over about an inch, and so that I can add the buckle in for the closure. And I've also, in these, I like to put a pen loop so that you can have your pen handy as well. All right, so we need to make this strip, we need to make 2 strips. And once again, for those of you that follow me often, I do like to leave all my threads hanging, so that's why nothing is finished. I can turn this out inside out if I want to have a nice clean finish. I prefer to have the threads hanging, and it'll only fray to the stitching, so it's not going to continue fraying once it hits the stitching. Okay, so you can trim off any big bits. I'll clean all this up once I've finished doing the journal, so there'll only be little bits and pieces hanging, but you get the idea. So I need 2 pieces that I can sew together. And I don't know whether you can see that. I have sewn them together just with a straight stitch, really roughly. There's no, you know, no fine sewing or anything like that. But what I'm going to do is I want to try, okay, so I like this. So I'm going to have this as part of my strap. So I'm going to measure 18 inches. Approximately. Okay, and I like, let me just have a look. So as I said, there's no nothing about you know, like precise measuring. I'm not making a quilt, I'm making a junk journal. Obviously if I was making a quilt, I would be more precise. And I'm just going to leave this a little bit longer. I think I've done this all the wrong way around. I'm going to leave it a little bit longer because when I don't pin it, and sometimes, you know, like it can pull through the machine differently. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put these wrong sides together, and then I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm just going to stitch, straight stitch all the way around. When I get to this end here, I'm just going to go up and then come back, and then I'll trim this excess bit off. So I'm just going to quickly do that now. Okay, so you can see it's really rough. Like I've gone in here a little bit further into the band than I have here. That's what I think I love about these type of covers so much, is that there's no measuring. It's just, I find it really, really freeing to be able to make them this way. And then, as I said, I've got this excess bit here. I just do that because sometimes, you know, your fabric, I don't intentionally stretch it, but it can stretch a bit, so just so that you get both ends meeting. Okay, so on this one, so on the blue one, we'll call it, on the blue one, I've done a silver clip, which I thought went quite nicely. And on this one, I thought I'd do a gold clip. So what do you think? I think that looks quite nice. So what I need to do now is just work out I'm just trying to work out how this is going to look when it comes around. Yeah, okay, so I want some of the red, pinky red showing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this back about 1 inch. And as I said, I just eyeball it. I think I've done enough now that I can get it pretty well right. So that's about 1 inch there. And I feed on the buckle. So the strap is a little bit wider than the buckle, but I didn't want it smaller. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like on as the strap. And then, so I always just do this just to make sure I'm happy with it. Just fold it as if it's going to be folded. So I've got red there, and then, okay, so maybe I'm not 100%. Let me just try the other way. Maybe I like that better. I think I do. It shows a bit more of the red, doesn't it? Okay. So it's just about playing until you get it to look the way you want it to look. All right. So for the pen loop, I've just got this. It's actually a headband that I bought at the grocery shop, and I just cut it down to about 2 inches, I think it is. Yep, just under 2 inches. And I fold it over, and I'm going to tuck it. So we've got the clip in here, and this is all going to go to my sewing machine. And I feed the elastic in there, and I just put a pen in there. Now this pen's reasonably thick, so I just want to make sure that the pen is going to feed in there, which it will, no worries. And you can pin this if you want to. I've done enough now that I can just hold on to it and sew it. And I'm just going to sew down here, and I go back and forward several times, and then I'm going to flip it. I'm just going to be very, very careful, but I'm also going to sew this just so that the buckle's not moving around in there. It just secures it all. So I'm just going to duck to my sewing machine and do that. Okay, so I've done that. As you can see, I've got threads hanging everywhere. I'll just trim some of these off. so that's basically it. So basically I've just do that stitch here just to sort of keep that loop in there. And I've gone over this about 4 or 5 times, just so that, because if you're putting a pen in and out of there, that's going to stress the seam. So there's no chance of that coming undone. So that's basically the band. What I then like to do is I'm going to go around this whole cover with a zigzag stitch, and while I'm at it, I'm going to do the blue one as well. So that is my next step, and I'm just using the same thread that I always use. It's just a really dark brown. I just like that look with it, and I think it just goes with any fabric. And I'm just going to go, I always start from this corner here, just so that the threads hang down a bit. So I'm going to start from this corner on each one and go all the way around. Done around both of those covers, all around the outside. And I noticed on this red one, really roughly cut that. So I'm just going to tidy that up a little bit. So there's the basis of our covers. Now on this one I did do earlier, I've actually placed the holes for the signatures, just where I want to put the all through and bind them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my template for the scalloped edge, and this is so I do this, I put the holes on the inside of the journal, and I've actually just done them here. Now I just need to think about this. So I'm just going to put just a tiny little hole. I'm not going to worry about this because I do it and it never means anything anyway. So I'm just going to, because I'm doing this as 2 signatures, I'm going to need more than those holes that I've just done. But what I'm going to do now, if I can find my ruler, is I'm just going to measure, I'll find where I put both of those holes. It's hard when it's got like inky bits already printed on the fabric. So I just need to redo this so that I'm there, that's better. So I just need to measure. What I'm going to do is measure about 1/2 inch down, and that's not too bad, and then 1/2 inch up. So that's about right. But what I think what's throwing me out is this fabric with the lines, it's not straight. So what I want to do is I want to bring another dot about 1/4 inch from this one, and this is where my second signature is going to sit. And then the same again. Same again here. Now there's professional bookmakers. I'm probably doing it all the wrong way. I just find that this works for me better. So that's, I'm going to have 1 signature here, 1 signature here, and then we'll decorate it, and then this is all going to close up nicely like that. Okay. So the next step is pretty much trying to find the center of our journal cover. Okay, I've missed a step. So what I need to do, and because I'm doing 2 signatures, there's no definite fold. I like to try and, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold, I can see the dots here. I'm just going to put a crease there and then a crease at the next one, at the next lot of dots, just so that I know that that's how my signatures are going to sit. But I did it the other way first, thinking that that would make it easier, but it's not. Okay, so I'm going to line my ruler up with those dots and then just fold this over and just lightly press, because I don't want a definite line. And then again, and just lightly press. And I've just said don't worry about doing the dots here, but I am going to do the dots here now so that I've got somewhere that I can just have a crease line as well, because you'll see what I mean in a minute. It all lines up. It helps line up this band. So that's what the journal cover is going to approximately be the size. And with that, it's about 6 3/4 wide. Okay, so I can see the creases. I don't know whether you guys can or not. I'm going to line this basically in the middle of my scallop. I'm trying to get this so that I'm fully in screen, so just bear with me for a minute. I've got signatures, papers for signatures that I've started collecting as well, so I've just got a huge mess. Okay, so basically, and all I do is I just sort of line it up and just do a rough check to see if it's about the same, sitting about the same distance. So that is pretty much straight. Then what I use is I use a fabric glue. I like to use this Roxanne basting glue. So it's just a temporary basting glue, but this helps me keep this in place, so that what I'm going to do once I've adhered this, I'm going to go through, I'm going to sew a straight stitch down here, straight stitch down this fold just on the band, and then a straight stitch through this other fold here, so that and one in here, one in the middle of those two there, just so that it's all secure, it's not flopping around, and it doesn't come off the journal and it doesn't get lost. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly run a bead of glue at each point. And I think I'll do it for this part. I think I'll just do it on the actual band. I've got way more than I need on that, but we'll just go with that. Okay, so we'll get that one down. Now the line, and this, it doesn't have to be exact, okay? So I'm just going to lift this up a bit and put a bit of glue there. We do want to keep it pretty taut. So I'm just basting it so that it's going to stay in place. Now I just need to find where that, so I can feel where the two signatures are going to go, and it's pretty much in between this U. So these are where I'm going to be sewing straight lines, and then I want to do pretty much, sometimes on other fabric you can see it so much better. So we've got about 7, so we're going to, between this point and this point, it's about 3.5, so I'm going to go here and just a bit down the bottom. So that's basically just to make all that stay in place. I leave this bit flapping because that's the bit that we either lengthen or shorten depending on how much is in the journal. I think I might have actually moved it up a bit. I have. Okay, so I'm just going to let that dry a bit before I sew in my machine, and then I'm going to start this one. Okay, so as I said, I have already done the dots, except I haven't done the dots on this flap. So I hope I'm making sense. If you have any questions, please just put it in the comments. If you have any questions, just pop it in the comments and I'll attempt to answer. I probably will do another, just a tutorial on this. Okay, so that's not coming through. I need, like, you need a pen, different colored pens for, depending on what color fabric you're working on. And I have no idea where that has gone to. That's why I was trying the gold first. Okay, there's that one. And that one. Okay, so basically all I need is just the 2 points so that I can just fold it back gently. And once again, the reason I'm doing this is so that I've got lines that I know when I sew these bands down, I'm going to try and sew them on the crease. I don't always hit the mark perfectly, but that's okay, so long as it's close enough. So same thing, we need to get the band. What have I done with that? And I'm just going to, so this one I've obviously made a little bit longer because the other one went pretty much just directly to the edge, but that's okay. It all folds over, it doesn't matter. So I'm just trying to make sure that I've got it all pretty well even. Okay. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to glue, put a bit of glue down so that these sort of just grab. And I'm leaving this flap loose, and then I just need to find the center point, which hopefully will be approximately 3.5 inches again. So that's that. Okay. I'm going to head off and let these dry a bit, and then once they're dry, I'm going to sew them, and then I'll be back to show you. If I'm not making sense, I'll show you why I've done all that. Right, both covers are now complete. I'm just trimming all the excess thread. So, and you will see in a minute, I'll show you on this one. Threads everywhere. So for the most part, I try to trim off all the long these really long threads off the front of the cover. And then just make sure you go back into the inside and just cut off any of the excess there. You can hardly even see this thread on this inside cover here. I think I have got it all. And I'll just trim this one off as well. You can see the thread much better on this one, so I'll show this one and explain what I've done, I think. When I've stitched here, I've gone at least 3 times, because once again this strap is going to be pulled and it's going to take the full thickness and weight of the journal, so you want it so that it's not going to come apart. Now this has really messed with me because this is printed on the fabric crooked, but once the signatures are in there, I don't think you're going to notice it so much. But as you can see now, you can see why I wanted them sewn, because this is a point where it's going to be open and closed all the time. This is a point where it's going to be open and closed all the time. So I've sewn there. And the only reason I've sewn here is because I didn't want that flapping in the breeze. So this can be used to maybe put a little pouch in there with some more pencils or pens, that sort of thing, some extra little bags of ephemera, that type of thing. I haven't ever put anything in there, but there is that possibility. And then I'll just show you why I leave this bit longer, because for the most part that's going to be there when we first start, and then as you add to your journal, whether it be with writing or adding photos or more ephemera, this is going to grow. So this is actually allowing you to grow your journal to whatever size, and you've got so much room to allow growth. So I think that's why I love these particular journal covers as well. So that is the covers done. So we're on a roll, guys. Let me know what you think about that and the process for those journal covers. I absolutely, as I said, I absolutely love making these. I'd have to say that this, I think, you know, I mean, I really love making any covers, but these I think have become my signature covers, if I could even be as bold to say that. I also make these covers just as covers, and you can add your own little notebooks and that in there. Quite often I will also add a pocket here in the front. It doesn't always need it, because you can always add extra pockets. So when I make these covers just specifically for notebooks to go in, I have obviously a pocket here so the notebook cover can slide in, and then you can just replace it. All right, that is the video for today. So I just wanted to bring you along and show you how I actually put this type of cover together, and just to show you the covers that I have chosen for Project Butterfly journal, which has now become 2 Project Butterfly journals. I hope that's all right with everybody, and yeah, I mean, it gives everybody just that little bit more chance of winning a journal as well. And I just didn't want, as I said, I didn't want it to be stuffed full with everything so that people can't appreciate everything that's in there. All right, well, I'm going to head off. I've got, as I said, I've got some papers and that I've started collecting. I will do that in the next video, just show you what I'm going to put in as signatures. But for today, I think that's enough, and hopefully I didn't confuse anyone too much. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this process video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed and you do like what you see, please subscribe, and there'll be a lot more coming in the new year with regard to journal making. All right, guys, take care, and until next time, I hope you get a little bit of crafting time in. See you soon.